An instructor at the University of Oklahoma under fire after a student claims that they failed an assignment because of their religious expression and beliefs.
Now the school and the instructors could be taken to court.
All right, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, is joining us. The teacher had other professors back up their assessment of the article saying that, or the assignment saying that shouldn't be considered completion of the assignment. Graduate assistant's been removed from the class, but the legal question here is what rights do teachers have to grade an assignment based off their rubric, and then what rights do students have in this?
I'll take the second question first. The students have First Amendment rights like everyone else. The courts have held that your First Amendment rights are a little diminished on a college campus or a school setting. And it will be religious grounds as well. That religious protection, it has to be, the simple answer is it has to be a genuinely held belief. I've said this a number of times on the air. One time Annie made a note of it. If we were in the blue suit religion, if that was a religion that I genuinely held and I would believe that that was a true religion, the school has to give me the same protections that they would to someone that is a Christian or a Muslim in the same capacity. Now, I think the issue with this case is it doesn't seem like it's more religious discrimination or even First Amendment viewpoint discrimination. It just seems like an inaccurate completion of the assignment. I mean, my reading of this doesn't seem like it's grounded on discriminatory practices, but just this was the rubric and this is what you submitted. As a former professor, I can see where her attempt to make the argument and maybe make a point towards her transgender professor, but if the assignment asks you for this, and you submit something on another angle, then you're going to have to deal with the consequences, which is getting a grade that may not be what you're expecting.
So we don't even have time to go really deep into this. We want to just kind of break this down legally from from both sides. What legally happens now? Because this is not necessarily based off of, do you agree with what she wrote, whether she agrees with transgender? It's not even about that. If she got a 0 and she's saying one thing and the teacher's saying another, what legally can both sides do going forward?
The only reason we're here is because it's based on the First Amendment argument and connected to freedom of speech and connected to our religious freedom in the transgender angle. If this was a normal student scenario and it didn't have any of those other buzzy words there, this would be, you got the grade, you deal with the grade. Yeah, you can appeal the grade and there would be an appeal process. I mean, the school's done everything that you want a school to do. They sent out their press release saying that the day, they stated that in there, the day we found out about this incident, we responded to her. We've had constant communication where the teacher's assistant has been terminated. I mean, and so from a risk management side for the institution, they've done everything that they want to have a school do to ensure that this doesn't, blow over. Typically, the other side of it to fail to respond or to, ignore their request then would subject the school to some type of legal consequences. But in this scenario, they've done everything that you want them to do. On her end, I mean, this is, okay, you have now got the school's attention. Now, where do you go with this? I mean, if I'm taking it back to the rubric, I'm taking it back to school policy. And I can assure you there's nothing in the school policy that would say that if you don't turn an assignment that meets the curriculum, that the teacher can't give you the grade that you receive. That's the angle that I would go if I'm representing the school.
There's a lot of articles online. Again, this has sparked a huge debate, but there is access to the professor's response where they list like, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z per the assignment. But there were parts in there where she said that, I found this offensive. Is any of that personal insertion of I found this offensive or other groups might find this offensive, does that weigh against her at all if she's appealing her case of why she shouldn't have been put on leave?
You're talking about the professor,
yes.
Correct? Yeah, I think when the professor made those, comments on the side that were outside the scope of the assignment, that was more teaching and kind of counseling the student going forward. And when you're writing things like this, knowing who your audience is, not just the audience of the professor being transgender, but the anticipated reader down the road. If I want my reader to listen to my argument, I may not want to make offensive comments if I don't know who the reader is outside of that person. I think that's good instructional information going down the road, knowing when you're writing something, you may want to remove things that could offend any potential audience, because now you've lost your reader. And I think that's what the professor was attempting to say. Hey, you missed the mark. But even right here, these couple points, they could have offended folks, any audience.
Khalif, real quickly, I do want to ask, what type of precedent does it set? Because is this a dangerous, slippery slope that you can go down to where a student says, you know what, I'm expressing my religious beliefs in this paper and I don't agree with the grade, and so I'm to say you infringed on my First Amendment rights?
It's a slippery slope, but we've been here before. These types of things have happened, and not just with assignments, but with protests. mean, with Ivy League schools, with students trying to wear armbands in opposition to the Vietnam War, a number of things have happened on college campuses where students are learning how to exercise their rights, constitutional protected rights, and this is no different. Book bans and things like that, you see that happen.
Sure.
With an assignment base, I think this is easier of the scenarios. I mean, those protest ones are really hard. The waters are extremely murky on what a school can do and what they can't do and how they can limit students. When you're talking about speech, unless they've discriminated her saying, you know what, I gave you an F because you wrote about God or you wrote about Jesus. Those might be things where I could see it was discriminatory on its face. This doesn't seem to be discriminatory on its face. It just seems to be missing the mark of what the assignment was. And that's what if I'm representing the school, I'm leaning on that the whole time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.